Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Ultra. Well, today we have again with us Blake, and Blake is going to kick us off with chapters 21 through 25. And once again, this is 5 chapters every day for 100 days, hoping that we can go all the way through the Bible by the end of it. We have a list of our reading plan up here if you want to screenshot that, or I can post it in the comments for you right below this video. But hopefully you're having a great January the 5th, I believe, today. Yep. And anyways, we're coming to you from the distant past. So here we are, and Blake's going to kick us off.
All right, everybody. So as I was reading through, I'm going to come out of chapter 22, which really highlights just something that we already know, that we're going to have tests. We're going to expect tests from God. And it's talking about Abraham, and he had his fair share of tests. And I'll just go a little bit of a backstory, and it kind of comes from a few chapters back. But he had his family test where he left his loved ones and he stepped out by faith to go to this new land. He had a famine test, which he failed because he doubted God and he went down to Egypt for help. There was a fellowship test, which he passed. He gave Lot the first choice in using the pasture land.
That's true.
There was a fight test. He defeated the kings.
Yep.
Fortune test. He said no to Sodom's wealth. The fatherhood test, he failed because Sarah got impatient with God and they had a child by Hagar. And
let me maybe if I can just stop you. Like, think about all these tests in your life. Like, how many times have you had a fellowship test where your faith or your friendship with a friend was tested? How many times have you had a faith test or a family test where maybe y'all weren't getting along and you had to be the one to come and apologize? And what is coming at your life that maybe God is what are you learning from these passages? I think that's really what's important. And so I think you're about to get to the hardest one of them all.
So the greatest test was actually in chapter 22 with the sacrifice of his son. And then ultimately what I got from that was that we really need to learn from trials and temptations, right? So temptations come from our desires within us, and then trials we know come from the Lord who has a purpose for us to fulfill. And temptations are really used by the devil to bring out the worst in us, and trials really can bring out the best in us. And as you read through chapter 22 and really the chapters before that, you really get this sense of that.
You even see that in James chapter 1 when he says, blessed are those who face trials and tribulations. I've never known the difference between them. They always kind of seem to be hand in hand, but that's a good point that you made.
Yep. So just when you're thinking about, like Drake said, going through all these challenges, because this is really applicable to our life, whether it's family, even like famine. When we hear the word famine, we think of maybe something different, but like if you're struggling in a job right now, or maybe somebody's lost a job in the household and you're struggling to make ends meet, that's puts strain on a marriage, a family. And so just, thinking back, what can we do to just get through these difficult parts in life to just help make us stronger? That's really what I got out of it.
So just let me piggyback on that. When it said that his greatest test, it ultimately came out of sacrifice. And I kind of hinted at this when you look at Cain and Abel, who had to make a sacrifice also, but not all sacrifices are made equal. So, and this is more, I don't know that this is necessarily biblical, but like the greater the sacrifice, the greater the reward at the end. So you may sacrifice 4 years of your life when you could be out there partying or doing whatever you want to do, hanging out with your friends, but you can sacrifice 4 years and really dive in to study, really dive into your craft, really dive into honing in, and then you will be rewarded for that the rest of your life because you learned this craft at school, or learn how to be a mechanic, or learn how to be a lawyer instead of going and living the party life. I mean, you sacrifice that. You can sacrifice financially. You can sacrifice and you can save for 10 years so that for the rest of the 30 years, God's going to bless you. You're comfortable, yeah. So the greater the sacrifice, the greater the reward at the end. I saw this, and it was something I saw the other day. It was this like a map, and the map went down and it said easy decisions, and it was just like a little slide. And then it kind of comes up and it's this rocky cliff. But before you got there with the easy decisions, you had another alternate and it was hard decisions. And so instead of just like a little slide down, it was a mountaintop that they had to climb up. But the easy decisions led to this valley where you literally had to like scratch and claw all the way back up, to get to the top. Whereas once you made the hard decision, it was, you got up to the, and I know this isn't exactly life, but there is some wisdom in this, that you could just walk once you got up to the
path.
Yes, right. Exactly. So it was the idea that harder decisions, the more that you sacrifice, maybe later in life you're going to reap.
Long term, you'll see it.
Yes.
Which is hard for us to, I think, get.
Yes.
We have to just really,
because we're not patient.
That's
we're
right.
Not patient.
Impatient.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I guess to bring it back to a more of a biblical perspective, what are you sacrificing today? What are you doing today that will benefit you in the future? Are you reading your Bible? Are you praying? Are you serving? Are you tithing? Are you in church? Are you in a discipleship group? What is God calling you to do in 2025 that could be a sacrifice for you right now, that ultimately at the end of the year you're going to be able to see the fruits of the sacrifice that you have given. So don't forget that. Great stuff, Blake. And always, as usual, glad to have you.
See y'all next time.
And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.